My friends, in a world that never stops talking, where noise fills every moment, where people post every move, every thought, every dream, silence has become rare. Yet true success, the kind that lasts, the kind that builds character and shapes destiny, loves silence. Because greatness is not born in the spotlight, it's built in the shadows. It's built when no one is watching. It's built in those quiet hours when the world sleeps and you're still grinding, still learning, still believing. Too many chase applause before they've earned it. They crave validation before they've built foundation. But success, real success, doesn't shout, it whispers. It moves patiently, it grows roots before it shows fruit. You see, silence isn't weakness. It's focus. It's discipline. It's the space where your mind sharpens, your vision clears, and your heart aligns with your purpose. When you build in silence, you free yourself from distraction. You stop explaining and start executing. You stop proving and start improving. And one day, when you've done the work, when you've faced the doubt, when you've walked through the lonely road, the world will see what you've been building all along. They'll call it overnight success, but you'll know the truth. It was years of silent persistence. So don't rush the noise. Don't chase the spotlight. Build. Grow. Learn. Because success, true success, loves silence. Success doesn't begin with applause, attention, or a crowd cheering your name. It begins in the quiet corners of your life, in those unseen hours when no one knows what you're doing, no one is watching, and no one is celebrating you. That's where greatness takes its first breath. It's in the early mornings when the world still sleeps and you're up working on your craft. It's in those nights when the lights go out, and while others rest, you're still planning, still refining, still believing. The journey toward true success doesn't start in the spotlight. It starts in solitude, because it's in that silence that you come face to face with who you really are. Your doubts, your fears, your strengths, your dreams. And in that space, you begin to build something real. When people think of greatness, they often imagine the finished product, the trophy, the recognition, the fame. But those are only the results, not the roots. The real story of success is written in the shadows, in the quiet grind, in the hours of practice no one claps for, in the lessons learned from failure after failure. Every masterpiece was once a mess in progress. Every great leader once stood alone, uncertain, yet unwilling to give up. It's the willingness to keep moving when no one believes in you that separates the ordinary from the exceptional. The shadows are not a punishment, they're a privilege. They're where you learn without judgment, where you make mistakes freely, and where your vision matures before the world ever sees it. The shadows are your training ground, your sanctuary, your foundation. They protect you from premature exposure, from the noise that can distract you before you're ready. Because if you're seen too soon, before your roots are deep enough, the first storm will break you. But when you grow in silence, you grow strong. You develop patience, resilience, and an inner confidence that no applause can give you. Think of every tree that stands tall. It begins underground. Its roots dig deep, unseen, unheard, uncelebrated. Only when those roots are strong enough to support its height does it reach toward the sky. The same is true for you. The world might not see your progress right now, but that doesn't mean you're not growing. Every small step, every quiet decision, every private victory is shaping you into someone capable of handling the success you dream of. So embrace the shadows. Let them teach you, mold you, strengthen you. Let them be the space where you fail, learn, and rise again. Because when your time comes, when the world finally sees what you've been building, they'll see only the result, but you'll know the truth. You'll know it was forged in silence, refined in struggle, and born in the unseen hours where greatness truly begins. Noise surrounds us everywhere. The constant buzz of opinions, the endless scroll of social media, the pressure to show, to share, to prove. In this chaos, it's easy to lose yourself, to lose direction, to chase distractions instead of purpose. But silence is where focus is born. It is in silence that the mind finds clarity and the heart remembers what truly matters. When you step away from the noise, you begin to hear your own thoughts again. You begin to reconnect with your inner voice, the one that guides you toward your goals, not the world's expectations. Silence isn't empty. It's full of answers. It is the place where ideas are nurtured, where dreams are refined, and where the seeds of greatness quietly take root. When you allow yourself to be still, something powerful happens. You start to see the bigger picture, not the fleeting moments of applause, but the long path of growth that requires patience and persistence. The world teaches us to chase attention, to crave validation, to equate noise with progress. But the truth is, the loudest person in the room is rarely the most focused. The ones who achieve true mastery are often the ones who have learned to work quietly, with discipline and determination, far from the distractions of approval. Silence gives you that space. It filters out the unnecessary and sharpens your attention on what truly deserves your energy. In the stillness, you begin to realize how much time is wasted worrying about what others think. You stop comparing, stop competing, and start creating. You stop trying to outshine others, and instead, you focus on becoming your best self. Every minute spent in silence becomes an investment in your future. An hour of reflection that leads to better decisions, a moment of calm that renews your strength, a day without distractions that multiplies your progress. Silence is not the absence of movement. It is the presence of purpose. The most focused minds in history understood the value of quiet. They withdrew from the noise, not because they were hiding, but because they were building. They knew that every moment of stillness was a step toward mastery, and in that focus, they found strength. Strength not to react, but to respond. Strength not to rush, but to remain steady. Strength not to prove, but to improve. That's the power of silence. It doesn't make you smaller, it makes you sharper. Validation is one of the most powerful temptations in human nature. We all want to be seen, to be recognized, to be appreciated for our efforts. But when we begin to depend on that recognition, when we let the applause of others dictate our pace, we start losing sight of why we began in the first place. The need for validation is like a beautiful trap. It feels good, it feels rewarding, but it quietly steals your strength, your authenticity, and your focus. True growth happens when you stop working for approval and start working for progress. The moment you detach yourself from the craving to be noticed, you start to unlock a deeper kind of motivation, one that comes from purpose, not praise. Too many people start their journeys with passion, but lose momentum because they are too focused on who's watching. They measure their worth through likes, comments, and compliments. But those things are temporary. They can make you feel good for a moment, but they can never sustain long-term growth. Real builders, real dreamers understand that success doesn't come from applause. It comes from alignment between what you want, what you believe, and what you're willing to do every single day, even when no one cares or notices. The quiet satisfaction of personal progress is far more powerful than the fleeting thrill of attention. When you stop seeking validation, you start trusting yourself, you stop waiting for others to approve your dreams, and you start giving yourself permission to pursue them. This shift is subtle but transformative. You begin to work not for applause, but for mastery. You begin to focus not on showing progress, but on making it. Every day, becomes an opportunity to prove something not to others, but to yourself, to be a little better than yesterday, to learn a little more, to push a little harder. This kind of growth is slow, quiet, and deeply fulfilling. It doesn't demand an audience because it knows its value. Discipline is the invisible force behind every great achievement. It's not glamorous, it's not loud, and it's rarely celebrated, but it's the heartbeat of success. Discipline grows strongest in silence, where distractions fade and commitment takes center stage. It's not about doing something once with passion, it's about doing it over and over with purpose. The truth is, anyone can be motivated for a day, inspired for a week, or focused for a month. But only those who master discipline can remain committed year after year, regardless of recognition, regardless of emotion, regardless of circumstances. Discipline is what keeps you moving forward when the excitement fades and no one's watching. It's the quiet consistency that builds empires, shapes leaders, and transforms ordinary people to legends. In a world obsessed with speed, discipline teaches patience. It reminds you that growth is a process, not a performance. Every day you show up, even when you don't feel like it, you're strengthening a muscle most people never develop, the muscle of perseverance. That's why silence is the perfect environment for discipline. Without noise, there's no pressure to compare, no urge to prove, no temptation to quit when progress feels slow. The quiet gives you room to focus on the process instead of the praise. You begin to find satisfaction not in the outcome, but in the act itself. In the early mornings when you choose to rise, in the long nights when you choose to stay, in the small victories that no one will ever see. There's something profoundly powerful about letting your results speak for you. In a time where everyone feels the need to broadcast every move, every plan, every small achievement, choosing silence is an act of strength. You see, when you work quietly, you give yourself the freedom to grow without judgment. You focus not on how things look, but on how things truly are. The world is full of noise. People announcing what they'll do, promising what's coming next, shouting their goals into the void, but very few are actually doing the work. The truth is, talking about your dreams doesn't make them real. Working on them day after day, in silence and dedication, does. Your results will always have more power than your words ever could. The person who works in silence carries an aura of mystery. They don't need to tell you what they're doing, because eventually the evidence will speak. The difference between those who talk and those who act as simple one seeks attention, the other seeks achievement. When you pour your energy into results instead of explanations, you become unstoppable. You stop wasting time convincing people who don't believe in you, and you start proving yourself through action. People may doubt your potential, they may underestimate your quietness, but when the results arrive, they erase every doubt, silence every critic, and inspire every observer. Patience is one of the rarest strengths in a world that moves at lightning speed. Everyone wants success, but few are willing to wait for it. We live in a time where instant results are celebrated, fast achievements, quick fame, immediate recognition. But the truth is, anything that comes too quickly rarely lasts. Success, the kind that endures, requires time. It demands seasons of quiet preparation, unseen struggle, and faith in the process. Silence tests that faith. It asks you to keep believing when nothing around you seems to move, to keep working when there are no signs of progress, to keep showing up even when the world doesn't notice. That's where patience becomes your greatest weapon. It transforms silence from emptiness into power. In the stillness of waiting, something important happens. Growth beneath the surface. Just because you can't see results yet doesn't mean they aren't forming. Every effort, every sacrifice, Every quiet day of persistence is adding up, building momentum that you might not yet feel. Patience allows those hidden layers of progress to take shape. It's like a seed planted deep in the ground. For weeks, maybe months, there's no visible sign of life. To the impatient, it looks like nothing is happening. But underground, roots are forming, strength is being built, and eventually, that seed breaks through with unstoppable force. That's what happens when you trust silence. Your growth might be invisible for a while, but it's powerful beyond measure. My friends, in a world that glorifies noise, may you never forget the quiet power of stillness. Success doesn't always arrive with fireworks or applause. Sometimes it comes softly, like dawn breaking after a long night. It's born from the hours no one counted, the sacrifices no one saw, and the faith no one understood. The journey is not about being seen, it's about becoming. So, walk your path with purpose. Be patient in your silence, consistent in your efforts, and humble in your victories. Let your growth be your statement, your work be your voice, and your results be your roar. Because when you build in silence, you create something unshakable, something that no criticism can weaken, no doubt can break, and no noise can overshadow. And when the time comes, when your moment arrives, you won't need to announce it. The world will see. The world will feel it. And they will know that your success was not given, but earned quietly, patiently, powerfully. Because in the end, true success has always loved silence.